All right, Nick, we're going to throw it back to you because it's your AFC South, your Colts.
AFC South. Second worst division in football, but at least they have a good team in here.
They're
not the worst.
Yeah, they're not the worst anymore. That good team is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have them going 10-7, winning the division. I think they're the best team in the division, and it's not close. I think their team is still kind of young, so it's gonna take them a little bit to get going. But I mean, Trevor Lawrence is a stud. 10-7.
10-7.
He's a dog.
Trevor Lawrence is a stud. Their defense concerns me a little bit, but I think that offense is going to be good enough to make up for some of its flaws early in the year. I mean, Doug Peterson's a Super Bowl winning head coach. The addition of Calvin Ridley is going to do wonders. He has been balling in training camp. Like, absolutely insane. But, yeah, I think the Jags, they might have a tough time beating some of the better teams outside of the conference initially. But they're going to be here. They should absolutely win the AFC South every year for the next 4 or 5 seasons at least. Second place, I have the Titans at 7-10. Their roster was wrecked by injuries, but even before that, I didn't think it was that good. And the addition of D-Hop doesn't move me when Ryan Tannehill's throwing him the football. So, and Derrick Henry's approaching that age, 30, where running backs kind of fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
Do you think we potentially see Will Levis this year?
Maybe a little bit.
If the
We'll see
Titans
Malik
start
Willis,
like
but not
3-8,
Levis.
hasn't Malik Willis been outperforming Levis in training camp?
Horrible.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll probably see Malik. I
More
don't
Malik
think.
than anything.
Yeah, I don't think Will Levis is going.
It just seemed like with them taking Will Levis,
Well, I think that's what they were trying to do, but then Malik actually started playing better.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, there was reports that Malik was outperforming him, and there was still a chance he could get cut.
Yeah,
so
because, like...
I don't know. The Titans are kind of a mess.
Yeah,
right
the
now.
Titans are kind of a mess right now. Mike Vrabel is about the only redeeming factor they have outside of Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
D-Hop hasn't played a full season in like 3 years.
Yeah. Unless he's aging.
Yeah. He's kind of at that twilight of his career, and Tennessee's the place where good wide receivers go to die.
Yep. They're getting a new stadium, though, which looks pretty
Yeah, it
sick.
looks
It's
sick.
really cool stadium.
it looks so sweet.
The heart of Nashville.
But yeah,
Nashville.
the Titans are in kind of a tough spot right now. I just don't think they're very good.
Purgatory.
Yeah. Third place, I have the Texans at 6-11. Their roster is still bad, but they're making some steps to go somewhere with C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, D'Amico Ryan's their head coach. I think that was the best head coaching hire of the offseason.
Yeah.
Derek Stingley is a good corner. Dameon Pierce is a decent running back. But, I mean, the rest of their roster is not good.
Yeah.
There's a reason they were the worst team in the league last year. That's including the Bears. But the Bears had the tiebreaker, yada, yada, yada.
It's because the Colts lost.
Yeah, they...
Thank the Colts.
Hey, listen, we got Anthony Richardson.
That's
So
all
I'm
I
okay
care.
with that. And then last place, I have the Colts at 4-13. This was I had them at like 5-12 or 6-11, and then our best player decided that he was going to request a trade, which is fair because Jim Irsay would rather pay a whale to go back into the ocean and die because it's been in captivity for God knows how long than our best offensive player in our whole offense. The way this organization has been run into the ground the past 2 years is something
It's impressive.
I
It really
haven't
is.
seen in a sport in a long time. Like, I'm being so serious.
Dude,
when say that.
I picked these guys to win the division last season.
Listen to me.
And they just were
After
awful.
Christmas Day 2021, after they went to Arizona and beat the Cardinals and really just kind of suffocated them the whole game, I want you all to answer this right now. Would you all have wanted to play the Colts in the playoffs?
After playing the Cardinals,
After that game, when they were 9-6 and won 8 of 10, and Jonathan Taylor was getting legitimate MVP consideration.
Yeah,
Taylor.
that was
Probably not because
They were hot.
Yeah,
They were hot.
they were
And-
matched up with the Bengals in the first round that week.
Yeah.
That would have been one hell of a game if
Yeah.
they played each other. Because the teams like the Colts are designed to beat teams like the Bengals. They keep the ball, they get first downs on the run, and keep Joe Burrow off the field.
Yeah.
Facts.
But it wouldn't have happened, but yes.
Yes. And then they lose to the Jags, who are the worst team
They
in
were
the NFL.
putrid that
That
year.
is Carson Wentz's. That is the reason Carson Wentz is a free agent. Is that game right there?
Of him wearing like
Eagles helmet, Commander jersey, Colt shorts.
That was hilarious.
That game
He's
is
trying to market himself.
That was humorous to me.
it is kind of understated how big of a collapse that is.
That was bad.
That is one of the biggest chokes I've seen in NFL history. That's not even an exaggeration at all. So then, this year, we get a former MVP in Matt Ryan, and we're like, okay, all he has to do is not blow up in the worst possible moments. And blow up is being nice. He was a actual fossil. He was a tree. He got no help by the fact that our offensive line went from a blue wall with Phillip Rivers to a top 10 unit in the league in 2021 with Jonathan Taylor to literally the worst in the league for a vast majority of last season. And then you factor in the fact that Shaq Leonard played 2 games. Jonathan Taylor missed half the season. We fired our head coach midseason and replaced him with a reporter.
Jeff Saturday. You brought in Jeff Saturday. That's when I knew they threw the white flag.
They put a reporter at that.
That's when I knew they threw the white flag.
They brought a literal ESPN analyst who has no coaching experience ever. Not a single ounce of it.
As the head football coach.
They win 1 game the rest of the year.
The first game, wasn't it?
Yeah, they beat the Raiders the week after, and then they lost the rest of the game. They lost. I think they lost to the Eagles the week after, which is like, yeah, that's fine. They were actually winning most of that game. They lose to the worst Steelers team in 2 decades.
I have that from your story screenshotted. I have that still.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious.
The worst Steelers team in 2 decades on Monday Night Football. Then they get outscored 33-0 in the fourth quarter on national TV against the Cowboys. Then they have a bye week, and I'm like, okay, 1 week of no pain.
That Cowboys game was terrible.
It was 21-19 going to the fourth. They lost 54-19.
They looked like I'm sorry, they looked like the most incompetent team. Like they looked worse than the Texans.
What happened?
They looked like the most incompetent team I've
They
ever
have
seen.
a bye week. I think I get 1 painless week. Then they go on national TV again and have the biggest collapse in NFL history.
Weren't they the team that...
They're the Vikings.
Then the week after, they play the Chargers on Monday night with Nick
I was
Foles,
at that game.
Nick Foles at quarterback.
Oh my god.
And scored 3 points.
That was an awful game.
That game was... Dude, the Chargers were terrible, but they were better than
And
the
then
Colts somehow.
the week after that, they play the Giants, and Kayvon Thibodeau is doing snow angels while Nick Foles is writhing in pain, and no one helps him up. And then, final week of the year, they play the worst team in football. They're up 31-24 with like 20 seconds left. Then Davis Mills throws a Hail Mary from the opposite 45-yard line. It gets caught, and then they give up a 2-point conversion. You want to know something else that happened in that game?
Davis
You want to know something else that
Mills.
happened in that game? In the first half, it was like a 4th and goal at the 2-yard line, right? They were up by like 4.
Yeah.
So he sent out the field goal unit. The crowd starts booing them.
Yeah.
So Jeff Saturday calls a timeout, then puts the offense in on 4th and goal to go for it, and they don't get it! They get stuff!
Couldn't it, if you lost that game, you could have had like a top...
No, we did lose that game.
Or, never mind. It was the Texans.
Yeah, the Texans would have had the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, with
If they lost that game.
Lovie Smith
And they
said,
won.
"Screw you guys."
Yeah, he
He
did.
gave the biggest middle finger to the Texans organization.
That was hilarious.
He's like, I know I'm only in here for
And
1
then
year.
the offseason comes around, and the Colts knock the draft out of the park. All of you have agreed with this.
Yeah.
Right? They had a fantastic draft.
Yeah,
I'm
good
like,
draft.
it might be starting to look up. You know, Anthony Richardson, like that 1-2 punch of Anthony Richardson, Jonathan Taylor, maybe an improved O-line. And then Jim Irsay decides to be the worst owner in the league now that Dan Snyder's gone, and says that he just flat out won't pay running backs, even though the running back is your entire offense. So then our best player requests a trade, And now we're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. with the second overall pick. That's just what's going to happen. We're going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. and you all are going to...
I hope not.
Oh, yeah. It's happening. If we have a top 5 pick, Jim Irsay is going to move mountains to get Marvin Harrison. He will trade 2 first-rounders just so he can have a son of a former Colt on his team.
And pair it with Anthony Richardson.
Honestly, I could see that.
That's a real thing that could happen.
That's probably not a bad trade, honestly.
They're terrible anyways.
Marvin Harrison is one of the best receivers we've ever seen come out of college.
Are you okay?
Does that close it?
Hey, it can only get up from here.
Can it? Because right now,
how many games did they win last year?
It can only get up from
I don't see
your
the Colts
last
ever winning
8-week stretch
games.
last season. That last 8-week stretch of the season last year was they were the worst football team I've ever seen.
Yeah, they were really
they weren't that bad.
I thought they were worse than the
They were the worst in the league.
I thought they were worse in the league, but they weren't the worst team of all time.
No. The only thing that can be bad is
I have the Cardinals.
Anthony Richardson becomes a bust.
Well, yeah, this entire administration bought themselves like 3 years of time with drafting Anthony Richardson. Because Anthony Richardson is more than likely going to be terrible this season. This season, yeah. This season, he's more than likely going to be awful. He's going to be. He hasn't been performing like crazy in training camp. He's been like as expected, which is like big highs and really low lows.
Yeah.
But like this, it's just not a good team. They gave me a lot of pain last year, and they haven't given me any reason to prove that they're going to improve at all.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
4-13. I hope they go 4-13. I want Marvin Harrison Jr. That'd be so sick if we got him.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
Are you happy you got your 15 minutes to be allowed?
Was it 15?
Yes.
That's my bad.
It was bound to happen between the Bengals and the Colts. It was one
of them.
One of them was going
I
to
haven't gone on a tangent like that.
No, you haven't. It was
I honestly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
It was very interesting.
Anyways, though, who's next?
Who's next? Me? All right. I got the Jags winning the division, going 12-5. I think the Jags are going to be really good this year. They were good. They were good last year. They won a playoff game. I think Trevor Lawrence in his second season with Doug Peterson is going to only get better. I really like them getting Calvin Ridley. He's been really good during training camp. Christian Kirk is also really good. He was phenomenal last year, and I feel like he's going to do that again. And then you also got Travis Etienne there, who has been really good as well. So as long as he can stay healthy, I think the Jags are poised to make a run, and I think this is the year that they do it. Then I have the Titans second, going 8-9. The Titans are always just that team where they're never good, but they're never like horrible. Like Ryan Tannehill's awful. We all know that.
He's pretty bad now.
Yeah, but like I can still see this team. Like, I mean, 8 games is not horrible. But I mean, you got Derrick Henry, who he's aging and he's getting into his 30s, but I mean he's still a workhorse back.
Still performing. You
got Treylon Burks in there, who should have a healthy season. Hopefully, he can kind of get things going. Then you brought in D-Hop. That defense saw some pieces. Yeah, the Titans are not good, but they're kind of in that weird middle area. So I got them going 8-9. Then I have the Texans finishing third, going 4-13. Yes, they got C.J. Stroud, and I really like C.J. Stroud, but I think it's going to be they need a lot more for this team to start compiling wins. Stroud is a very accurate quarterback, but he does still have some questions, so we'll see how he does. I love them getting Will Anderson. They've been building that team. Dameon Pierce, I don't think he's going to have as good as a season as he did last year, but they're getting somewhere. They're looking better every single year. I love the D'Amico Ryans hire, but they're just not there yet. So I have them going 4-13. Then last place I have the Colts, also going 4-13. I
don't think we need to talk about that anymore.
It pretty much
covered the Colts.
It pretty much said everything. I mean, Anthony Richardson could be good later, but this year is not going to be that year.
This isn't going to be the year that defines him.
Hey, you could be the 0-17 Cardinals.
At least we have some bright spots on our team. Our defense could still be solid this year.
So
They still have the Forrest Buckner, right?
Yeah.
D4-ish.
Leave.
So the South. I have the.
So aggressive.
I have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning the division, and I have them going 13-4. I think the Jags are going to be a really good football team. I think they made significant strides last year. They almost beat the dang Chiefs.
Pretty close.
I am high on the Jags. I think Trevor Lawrence is a stud. I really like Trevor Lawrence. Calvin Ridley has been unreal in training camp. So they got him a solidified wide receiver 1, and they pair it with Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and the guys they ran with last year essentially. Yeah, it's a solid core. I mean, it's not the it's not
the Bengals or the Dolphins,
but it's a solid core. Yeah. Like Calvin Ridley is a mid to slightly above mid-tier wide receiver 1 in the NFL. I would say
really good.
His last healthy season, he had over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, 13 touchdowns or whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, I like this Jags team. I don't. Well, we'll get to that later. 13-4, they take the division. I think they're going to be a really good team this year. So second in the division, I have the Titans going 7-10. I don't think the Titans are very good. Derrick Henry is, pretty much. I think they have a pretty stout defense. But I think other than that, stout defense, I think Derrick Henry is really about all they got. You take away Derrick Henry, I don't think that they even win 7 games, honestly. Ryan Tannehill is terrible. Malik Willis is,
even worse.
Not much better.
Oh, no.
And Will Levis is god-awful as well. So, I don't think the Titans are very good, but I think they're going to squeak out 7 wins, just because I feel like they always seem to do that. They seem.
Mike Vrabel's a good enough.
Mike Vrabel is a great coach, and Derrick Henry is still a good enough player to play at that level, I think. He hasn't shown really any signs of slowing down except for the foot injury. But we'll see. So, and then at third place in the division, I got the Colts here at third, and I got them going 5-12. So I've got them 1 game above.
What an improvement!
Yeah, I got them going 5-12. You hit on it. Anthony Richardson, he's just so dang raw. He has a spectacularly high ceiling, and he's not going to reach it this year. Their owner is probably the worst owner in the league. That franchise, as of this moment, is kind of a dumpster fire.
Can't even disagree with that.
Well, it could be worse. It could be worse.
You could be the 0-16
You could be the 0-17 Cardinals.
Or
But-
it could be organization run by Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
The Commanders.
Well, now that the gap between Jim Irsay and Dan Snyder was substantial, but now that Dan Snyder's gone, it's
he's the worst.
yeah, he's one of, if not the worst.
Yeah. So I got the Colts there at 5-12. They're going to get a top 5 pick again, probably. And then tying for it's not going to be a tie, but I have the Texans going 5-12 as well, which is an improvement for the Texans. I think the Texans are honestly going in a very good direction. I've said this since they drafted Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud. And honestly, even since they hired DeMarco, I loved that hire. I thought that was a great hire. I really like that hire a lot. I think the Texans are heading in a very good direction, but this year it's still going to be some bumps to get over. They go 5-12. They probably get a top 5 pick again, which is good for them, honestly.
They don't have it.
What?
They traded it away to the Cardinals for the Will Anderson.
It's true.
Yeah.
Cardinals have 2 picks.
It's true. Never mind then.
There's potential they could have the top 2 picks.
They have 1 and 2. They could walk away with the draft with Marvin Harrison.
Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr. Oh my! Talk about a rebuild.
That's an instant A+ draft.
I low key kind of hope that happens though.
No!
I
want Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'm gonna piggyback off what you just said with the Texans.
Oh, I'm done. You can start yours now.
Okay,
That's it.
Well,
For me.
I'm just gonna say it right now. Texans are at the bottom of mine. I have them going 4-13. So, I think they've made a lot of leaps and bounds even before hiring.
I like Stroud a
D'Amico.
lot. I really do.
I even before this draft,
Yeah.
they've made strides. Going out, you got your CB1, Derek Stingley.
Yeah.
Love Derek Stingley.
Yeah.
And John Mechie. Stuff like that.
They've got pieces.
They're making so many leaps and bounds. You bring in not a proven, but a steady guy like a Dalton Schultz. I think that's a big thing to help build a culture, and I feel like that's an important thing with what D'Amico Ryan's trying to do too. But yeah, they're the last in the South, not the Colts for me. But
Same, brother.
I just think you all are wrong. But like,
I got the
I'm being nice to your team right now.
I got the Jags going 11-6. You guys have pointed it out. This team is. I have high hopes for them this year. I don't think any other team in this division competes, but I think overall the Jags, top to bottom, are the best team in this division. Trevor Lawrence is going to keep making strides to prove why he was one of the best talents to come out of.
Could we see Trevor Lawrence enter into the top 5 this year?
absolutely.
I could see
I
that.
think so too.
I could see him, depending on how this.
You know what I say about that, right? Yeah.
I'm gonna have a quick hot take. I could see Trevor Lawrence in the MVP conversation this year.
I could too. If the Jags go like 13-4 something, because their schedule is so incredibly easy.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence could absolutely be in the MVP conversation.
I mean, I think that's partially why I had him at 13-4 because I think 13-4 is, I mean, that's a heck of a record. Like I don't,
It was so easy.
I don't think the Jags are really that good to go 13-4, but it's like their schedule is just so easy. You know, like I mean, if the Jags were playing the Bengals schedule, they'd be more around 10-7, 11-6 probably.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Evan?
Nothing.
Okay. I got Titans going. 6-11. I just it's a common theme with the rest of these teams. I don't see much. Like Derrick Henry's getting old. D-Hop's not going to be your solution by any means.
That
to
didn't
help
change
your
a
passing game.
Change a thing.
Doesn't
like before
change the fact that
after.
Ryan
Super Bowl
Tannehill
odds were the
can't.
exact same.
I mean, I'm very critical of Ryan Tannehill. Like going from that AFC AFC divisional game against the Bengals.
He was
the one
terrible.
seed.
They were the 1 seed, and he threw how many picks? 3 or 4.
I think he had 4 turnovers. There's 3 picks.
He threw 3 picks. I know that.
But
He
it's
threw a
like-
pick on the first play of the game.
But even it's just like
Since then, he's been horrible.
he's been awful.
That
I
was
don't
kind
even know
that
if
was
Malik
kind of
or
like
Will
the
Levis will help.
that was kind of like the that was when it started. I think
I love Derrick Henry
because
Derrick
before
Henry's
I feel like before like the Titans like even that year the Titans were one of the worst 1 seeds that I've ever seen. But like I feel like Ryan Tannehill wasn't like
He was serviceable.
like wow he's bad
Very
until that game. You know.
and then I have Colts going 5-12. So that's Jags 11-6, Titans 6-11, Colts 5-12,